Welcome to this Advent devotional series. I am Reverend Lester Spees, and I have the privilege of serving as pastor at Memorial Lutheran Church in Glendale, Wisconsin. During this Advent season, I will be reflecting on some tough questions that come from Scripture and on some sacred spaces that have helped me to respond to those tough questions. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Today's devotion is for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. And the tough question comes from Proverbs chapter 30, verse 1. I am weary, O God. How can I prevail? When I left Texas in the summer of 1986 to go to seminary in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the upcoming fall semester was to be the first time that I had gone physically that far from my home state of Texas, and chronologically for that long. The next time I planned to return to the farm was for the Christmas break. These days, 4 months doesn't seem like such a long time. When I was 22 and feeling a little homesick, 4 months felt like an eternity. The good news is that I made some great friends very quickly, and I didn't feel as lonely as I thought I would. But even so, there were times when I longed for a connection to the people of my past as I navigated these new experiences during my first semester at the seminary. Luckily, one of my college roommates at Texas Lutheran, Bob, lived very close to Gettysburg near Forest Hill, Maryland. The trip from the seminary to his house took a little over an hour, but it was worth every minute. Bob's family was very generous and opened their home to me so that I could have a place to retreat when I needed a break from the routine. And Bob always played the generous host. He and I roomed together in the dorms during our freshman year in college, and later we became apartment mates on campus as upperclassmen. I was grateful for his friendship and hospitality, both in my college days and beyond. He was even kind enough to serve as groomsman when I got married to Barb on June 9th, 1990. When I was applying to seminaries in my senior year at Texas Lutheran, Bob had encouraged me to think about going to Gettysburg. It wasn't even on my list of seminaries to consider. I knew I would go to Trinity in Columbus, Ohio, like most of my hometown pastors had done. I liked the hometown pastors from my childhood. They were my inspirations, and that's where many of them had gone. It just made sense that I would go there as well. I planned to apply only to the one seminary. Bob strongly suggested that was a stupid approach and that I should apply to Gettysburg as well. He could be very persuasive. So I applied to Gettysburg as well as Trinity, mainly to appease Bob. I'm glad I did. He was right. It was one of the best decisions of my life, and one that I would not have happened without Bob's encouragement. One of his selling points was that he didn't live too far away and I could always come home for a visit, and he lived up to that promise. During that first semester of my seminary career, I tried to make it down to Bob's house at least once a month. I often found myself growing weary in my new realities with grad school. Things were different. Expectations were different. People were different. During my college days, I couldn't imagine that the student workload could get any more challenging or time-consuming when I went to seminary. I was wrong. My college professors and coursework prepared me well for the things we would study, but there was still a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. There were definitely times of weariness in those days. There was a basement room that I could claim as my own during those weekend visits to Maryland. I was allowed to sleep as late as I wanted, and I really liked that. Bob's family provided tasty meals for me to enjoy, and there were horses in the backyard living in the stables. Bob and I had taken a horseback riding class together in college that was taught by our Greek professor, Dr. Ansarge. The class had counted as one of our physical education credits. I found that it was nice to be back near horses once again. The horses helped me to relax and definitely reduced the weariness I was feeling. Bob's home also became the site of the very first place where I ever shared a Thanksgiving away from my home. The dishes that were shared at that meal were different from what I was used to eating. It included some cuisine from the Chesapeake Bay that was not part of the standard South Texas menu, but I loved it. And I loved the welcome that I knew while I was there. That first Thanksgiving in Maryland wasn't my last. Bob's home became the site of other Thanksgivings as well in the years that followed. I learned during those visits how precious family is and how amazing it is to be surrounded by friends who care about you and take care of you in times of weariness. Their kindness empowered me to prevail during tough times. However, I think that the biggest lesson that I learned from my visits with Bob is how God has truly blessed me with the right people at the right time and in the right place so often in my life and ministry. For that, I am most grateful.